Montana Television or on the YouTube stream. You can also always stream the show from the station website, 1029ESPN.com. And you can also always be a part of the show, 406-888-1029. That's 888-1029. Remember it because it is a Wednesday, so that means it's a Wing It Wednesday. The Desperado Sports Tavern and Grill, they got a dozen wings for you, and we got a pretty cool promotion coming up next month. I'll tell you about that here in just a minute. Tons of stuff to get to today, including the return of Grizz hockey. So that will be part of our Desperado Wings giveaway. We also have tickets to the Grizz hockey game. Not one, not two. We have 8 tickets, 2 4-packs to Saturday night's Grizz hockey game. It's Cat Grizz, Grizz Cat, whatever you want to call it. Montana State in town. The Grizz hockey team's first home game since mid-December, so they're back on the ice. We're going to get things started off, though, with the illustrious return of one of my good friends, Sean Rainey, the sports director at SWX Montana Television. I recorded with him last night. It was actually kind of fun. We started recording, and, well, first we shot the breeze because I haven't actually seen Sean in a minute. Even though we were in Frisco, Texas together, he, here on ABC Fox Montana as well as SWX, he was broadcasting all the time when they were down there. I mean, he was doing noon and 3 and 5:30, and I can't even remember all the specific times, but they were doing a ton of stuff, ton of content. So great job by the ABC Fox Montana team and all the sports guys at SWX Montana. But even though Sean and I are in the same proximity, obviously, because we both work in the sports media world here in Missoula and around the state of Montana, I hadn't actually seen him in a while. So shot the breeze for a little bit, and then we started recording the segment we're going to play for you here in just a minute. But about 6 minutes into the segment, Sean gets a call. It's from Jaden Dawson, the new Grizz junior college transfer, I guess grad transfer by way of junior college. He went to 2 junior colleges before then landing at Idaho State. Spent this last year at ISU. Now he's grad transferring to Montana. He came into the SWX studio for an interview. So after Sean got done with him, I was like, well, I'll just interview him. The kid's here. So we'll play that for you tomorrow. And then Sean and I did a little TV segment, circled back around, and got into some stuff. So a little behind the curtain there on how all of this stuff comes together. But fun spending a couple hours down there at SWX Montana. I also spent this morning, for a brief moment in time, with Robbie Beasley, sophomore combo guard for the University of Montana. So he will be our Grizz Star of the Week. We'll share that with you about 4:30. And then top of the hour, very excited for this. One of my good friends and the guy who's taught me so much about football, a guy who I have learned a tremendous amount about not only football but life from. He's such a great talker and such a great storyteller. It's Jerome Sowers, longtime football coach, a guy who made his home here in Missoula from 1985 all the way through 1997, famously the defensive coordinator for Montana. Their first semifinal run in 1989, as well as national championship win in 95, championship game appearance in 96. Then Coach Sowers took the head job at Northern Arizona ahead of the 1998 season, spent 21 years at NAU. He's the all-time leader in victories in Big Sky Conference history. Why is he in the news? We'd love to have Jerome on no matter what because he's got great stories, and it is sort of pertinent with the Grizz just finishing their celebration of the 25th anniversary of that 95 national title. But Jerome now is the head coach for the Montana State Northern Lights up in Havre. This is a splash, man. I've never seen a splash like this. Unbelievable. So we'll get the scoop from Coach Sowers for our ESPN Roundtable. Then about 5:30, excited for this as well. I've been pumping this kid up, and I think it's because you need to know his name. He's unbelievable. He's a national-level athlete. He's just in terms of relativity in his sport on the national scope, with the exception of Olympic skier Maggie Voisin from up in Whitefish, maybe Jake Sanderson, University of North Dakota hockey player who's from Whitefish, who will play for Team USA. Besides those two, Duncan Hamilton is right there in terms of on the national scale for his abilities in his sport. He's a distance runner at Montana State. He's from Bozeman. Why this week? He's joined us many times because he's been to the Olympic trials. He's a Big Sky Conference champion and All-American at the collegiate level. He just had such a banner year in 2021. Well, he's back in the news because he's the Big Sky Conference Track Athlete of the Week this week after running a ridiculous 3:56 altitude adjusted, the fastest time in the United States in the mile last weekend in Bozeman. 2 other gentlemen ran faster times over the weekend, but still, Duncan Hamilton, number 3 in the NCAAs and one of the top times in the United States and in the world so far in 2022. in the indoor mile. So amazing. He'll join us as part of our River City Runners series. Pretty funny, before we walked in the conference room here at SWX tonight here on a Tuesday, Sean Rainey had a Kansas-Oklahoma game up on the TV, and it was funny for a couple reasons. First of all, Tanner Groves, formerly of Eastern Washington, the reigning Big Sky Conference MVP, he's not in the Big Sky anymore. He's in the Big 12, plays for Oklahoma. But also funny, the last time I watched Tanner Groves play, it was against Kansas in the NCAA tournament. So just a wild world of college basketball right now. I would try to think so hard, why have I had a hard time getting in the flow of it? There's the cancellations, there's the elongated football season, all that stuff. But more than anything, it's because every single Big Sky game I go to, with the exception actually of the schools in Montana and Montana State, you don't know any of the guys on the other team because they're all brand new. It's crazy. The world of college hoops right now is nuts. It was cool seeing Tanner Groves on national TV, though, because he's doing well there at Oklahoma.
Oh, no, man. He's really good. And his brother was getting a little bit of play, too. But you said, I think with college hoops, especially for us, we're so used to, okay, Big Sky plays Thursday and Saturday. Right. You get into the rhythm of everything, and when the rhythm is disrupted, it just makes it hard to follow everything. And then, like you mentioned, obviously covering Montana State all the way up until, a couple weeks ago, you're kind of just so focused on that you're not really diving into college hoops yet. And then when we are ready to dive into college hoops, we had all these cancellations, so it's just kind of hard to get in the rhythm of things.
We're going to talk about all sorts of stuff here. Sean Rainey joining us, SWX Montana Sports Director. And we're going to talk a little crosstown high school hoops, because I know Sean was out there at the Hellgate Sentinel game last week. Last week. So we'll get some impressions on that. But I want to stay on this topic just for a minute, because last night it was startling to realize I was just watching the Monday Night Football game, the NFL game, because that's normally part of your routine. And then I got a couple texts from people that were watching Big Sky hoops, and I thought, oh, dang. There's 5 Big Sky games on, 3 men and 2 women. That's never happened in the Big Sky Conference. And so it's just so weird. It's so hard to follow.
It's also just going to be wild because we had, the Lady Grizz haven't played at home in a month.
Forever. Right.
And then they're going to play at home Thursday. And then they're going to play, 5 games in 9 days. All these teams are going on these crazy stretches. I think Weber State has one where they play 4 games in 8 days in 4 different cities.
Idaho has a stretch coming up that's 8-17. Dave Sprinkle, Montana State's head coach, told us yesterday on the show that they're planning for the worst case scenario, the doomsday scenario, and that's if it all gets pushed all the way to the end. And there is a scenario where they might have to play 4 games in 6 days before the conference tournament. That would be just so bad for anybody. I don't think they can let that happen.
I don't think they will. I think if it gets to that point, I think games are just going to get canceled.
Sure.
Because what's the point? Every team makes the tournament anyways.
Right.
So what does it really matter at the end of the day? You're going to definitely want to obviously play, try to get the Montana State games, the big games in if you can. But I think some of these are going to get canceled because we've had all these issues so far. You think we're just going to go the rest of the way from here on out with not a single issue? Because we're already kind of on the ledge here as far as being able to reschedule games. And so I think if we have any more issues, it's going to be really tough. So I think it's going to get to a point where games are just going to get canceled in the end because the wear and tear is going to be just too much on these teams. And then we'll just figure it out in Boise. But that's also going to just make it really interesting because you're going to be playing a lot of games in a short span right before a tournament where you're then going to be playing a lot of games. It's just it's going to be a lot of tired legs, and it's going to be a very interesting basketball.
I totally agree with you. Sean Rainey joining us here, Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, as well as SWX Montana Television. And I do agree with you that the fact that it is a neutral site tournament in which every team qualifies, I think if they get the bare minimum of 12 games in, which is what the bylaws said last year to get in, I think that that's good enough. I don't think there's any use in just wearing your teams down because not only does it hurt everybody going into Boise, it also significantly hurts your opportunities in the NCAA tournament. We're already sitting here with the Big Sky where that's pretty down. Weber, Montana State all had decent non-conferences. We're already fast-tracking towards the winner of the league tournament getting a 15 or a 16. So you don't want them to then also be completely worn down when you get there, so you have to mitigate it somehow. I mean, one of the biggest things that could happen to the Big Sky to enhance the national profile but also just drive revenue is a team winning a tournament game. We're far away from that right now in the league, but that makes your chances of that go down even further if the teams are just worn out and they win the tournament.
I just can't believe going back to Boise 2 years ago.
Well, we're sitting on the hotel bed doing the radio show, wondering if the world was over.
Yeah, and then we're talking about, is the NCAA tournament going to get canceled? And here we are, freaking 2 seasons later, and we're still dealing with this. It's just so, it's just exhausting and just over it.
Well, I know. I'd never forget the day that reporter from USA Today came in that random midday press conference early in the tournament that year and asked Brian Katz, the head coach from Sac State, Coach, how will the environment change if they take the fans away? And I'm like, what is this guy talking about? Take the fans away? And then all of a sudden we start to learn about it, and then the whole thing explodes, and all of a sudden the NCAA tournament shut down. And the NCAA has to have the tournament, so I'm just so interested to see this lack of contingency planning, both at a league and national levels, how it's going to just affect everything. Well, speaking of hoops, let's talk some high school hoops. Sean Rainey, SWX Montana Sports Director, joining us here on Nuanez Now. We're down at the SWX Montana studios. Had to take a little break because we had to interview Jaden Dawson, New Greer's Corner. So that'd be fun, something to look forward to on both SWX tonight as well as this radio show. But let's talk about high school hoops. Before we get into some of the crosstown stuff that you watched last week, high school hoops has got a shot clock. I know this is something that we're excited about, but also I keep laughing just thinking about the inevitable just hiccups that are going to occur early on, right? Like just scheduling somebody to do it. And it's different when you're at like Sentinel and there's 1,500 kids and all these teachers. There's going to be shot clocks at Joplin versus Valier or whatever, where there's like 100 people in the whole town. You know what I mean? So it's just going to be interesting to see how it all works. But what do you think of this overall?
Well, so I grew up with a shot clock.
Right. Because you play basketball in a normal state. Montana's like the only state I ever been to that didn't have one.
Yeah, but my school was 200 kids.
Right.
We had like 100 people would go to the game at the most. My gym was worse than any gym that I've seen in the state of Montana. And we had a shot clock, and it was never an issue, and it worked fine. So I think people are kind of making too big of a deal about the logistics. They're going to get in, they're going to have someone to work it, and we're not going to have any issues. I also had some people, this one guy, especially on Twitter, was just like, how many possessions do you really think are over 35 seconds?
Oh, wow.
And it's like, even if there's not that many, it's the end of game situation that completely changes. I've been to so many tournament games, so many regular season games. If you have an 8-point lead with 2 minutes to go, your percentage chance of winning are much greater than when there's a shot clock, because the team that's down doesn't have to foul. They can just play good defense, get a stop, and then score on the other end. And so that's going to be the most exciting thing to me, and it's going to make it so the end of all these games don't take forever. Because there's, in that Hellgate Sentinel game, even it was like a 7-8 point game, and then it was just a foul fest the last 2.5 minutes. And so the shot clock's going to help with that. And it's just getting with the times. One coach told me, he's like, everyone in the world plays basketball with a shot clock except for a few American high schools, and that's it. And that's it. Think about that. If everyone does, except for you, out of everybody in the entire planet, then you need to get a shot clock.
It'll be interesting to see the evolution of it, but it is planned to be added this next academic year. So 2022-2023, the shot clock instituted across all varsity and sub-varsity hoops games in the state of Montana. You mentioned the crosstown. Last week, it was interesting because Sentinel played Big Sky and swept, and then Sentinel played Hellgate, and Hellgate swept. And Big Sky and Sentinel have not played. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so we still have one more crosstown. There's also there'll be rematches here of these games as well. I believe that Hellgate and Sentinel play at Dahlberg Arena on February 11th. Is that just girls, or is that both boys and girls?
The Golden Goat.
Yep, the Golden Goat, which you guys will probably be doing, right?
Yep. We're going to be broadcasting both those games, so that'll be fun. Yeah, these matchups are interesting because, well, for a couple things. One, these Hellgate and Sentinel teams are not as talented as some of the ones that we've had in the past. Obviously, Sentinels from last year with Germer, Frolic Fair, kind of all those guys, they don't quite have, those dudes. Hellgate doesn't have the Raleigh Woosters and the Abe Johnsons and all of that. So these teams aren't as good as some of the teams in the past, but that's what kind of makes almost this crosstown stuff more exciting. And Big Sky is much better than they've been in the past and are pretty talented. So you kind of have three teams that are all more on equal playing levels. It was kind of unfortunate for Sentinel that Peyton Stevens, their 6'7" big man, rolled his ankle with 5 minutes to go in warm-ups against Hellgate. And so he was out, and he plays a big role in that. And Hellgate was just kind of in control pretty much throughout after the first quarter, and they just kind of played Hellgate basketball, fundamental, and wasn't surprise scoring, but they got the job done. So it'll be interesting though to watch all the matchups throughout the city as the season goes on.
Let's make this our Prep Extra Wide Open. Thanks to Farmers State Bank for all their support of all of our prep high school coverage here on Nuanez Now. Farmers State Bank's been enriching the lives of Montanans since 1907. It is impressive how many good basketball players there have been in Missoula the last couple years. It's also sort of crazy that none of those guys play for the Grizz, but I don't really necessarily want to go down that rabbit hole right now. I just think that anytime that there's complaints about the attendance from certain people in the Montana Athletic Department, and if you had some guys that went to Hellgate and Sentinel, I think you'd probably be drawing some more people, but that's here nor there. Give us some of the rundown, though, because I've just kind of diving back into high school hoops and learning about these teams, but it sounds like Hellgate has a lot of pretty solid players. I know Ian Finch is a good basketball player who's going to go play receiver for the Grizz, and Connor Dick, the quarterback, he had 14 points the other night in a Hellgate win. This Asher Top kid, who's a junior, is kind of an emerging star. I know Eric Bowie's kid is playing too, right? Dre Bowie, and he's a solid guy at Hellgate. And then for Sentinel, I mean, what are we looking at for Sentinel? What are we looking at for Bayside? Just give us sort of a rundown of some of the best talents on these teams.
Well, yeah, I mean, you kind of did the rundown for Hellgate.
Yeah.
They kind of remind me of like the Grizz basketball team of like a year ago, where they have 4 or 5 guys that can all be your leading scorer that night, but you're not necessarily sure exactly like who the dude is. And they're really well coached. They play really good defense. But yeah, Asher Top, he can really shoot it. I've been playing with that kid pickup ball because his dad plays at the Peak, and so I've been playing with Asher for years. And it's funny as he's gotten over a foot taller. Yeah, Dre Bowie, really talented as well. He was kind of pretty much injured, last year, and is starting to get healthy and has some talent, and they have some size. Big Sky overall, when you're looking at just kind of pure talent, I mean, they across the board probably have the most talent, led by Caden Bateman, obviously kind of walking on to the Grizz, and then you got Lewis Sanders, and you got a bunch of guys there that are really good too. It's just going to be very interesting to see because Hellgate and Sentinel have gone to state. They've been there. They know what it takes to establish that kind of that winning culture, that belief and everything. And that's what Big Sky's trying to instill. And they haven't been able to break through. This group, this senior class for them, they have wanted to go to state. They were on the precipice of it last year. And so that's kind of the biggest question mark is like, can they break through? Can they win these close games? They've played other teams tougher than Hellgate and Sentinel have. They lost to West by a couple, but then they also lost to Belgrade by a couple. So they just need to find a way to be able to win late in the game, break through late, and just break through in general when it comes to just kind of establishing themselves as a winning program.
Sean Rainey, SWX Montana Television, coming to us here from the SWX studios on Nuanez Now. I'm Colter Nuanez. And last couple things for you, Sean. We've talked so much on this show about the FCS National Championship game, so we'll stop beating that dead horse. I kind of wanted to start talking a little bit about what lies ahead because school started this week. As we record this on a Tuesday, that's the first day of school at Montana. I believe Montana State's back as well. And usually for mid-year guys, transfers that you're going to bring in, you want them to be on campus right now so they can be a part of winter conditioning and they can have enough academic progress to be eligible for spring ball and all that stuff. So the Grizz, they lose 12 seniors from last year's squad, including guys like quarterback Cam Humphrey, a pair of offensive tackles in Dylan Cook and Conlon Beaver, a pair of defensive ends in Joe Babros and Justin Belknap. For you, what are the biggest question marks for the Grizz in the offseason just from a personnel standpoint?
Quarterback.
Yep.
Quarterback. I mean, that's what it's going to come down to. I mean, I know that they're going to be losing a couple guys on the line. That's obviously going to be, an important thing. But I feel like they're going to be able to find guys that will be good enough. I don't know if they're going to be able to bring in guys that are going to make that offensive line the dominant one that they had in the past when they were winning. But I think if you get a good quarterback and their line is about as good as it's been, they will be able to take that next level. To me, if the Grizz want to take the next level, it's just being able to have more of that dynamic playmaker at the quarterback position. And so that's, to me, is the biggest question mark for them.
It's going to be so fascinating if they do get a game-changing quarterback because it's going to go against so many of the principles that they want to play with. And that's the most perplexing part about the Grizz is they can score 57 points and roll up a top 8 Eastern Washington team in the playoffs without being particularly creative or dynamic on offense. What if they do, but then how does that affect the way that they play? I don't know. It's just going to be so interesting because they have had such a identity with how they win games, and so much of it's not centered upon the quarterback. As we know, though, I mean, that's the thing that changes the game, right? I mean, Cole Johnson and the receivers that James Madison had is why Montana was out of the playoffs.
Well, I think you can play with whatever style you want, but I still think you need a playmaker at the quarterback position. You can play however you want with Dalton Snead at the helm. Dalton Snead could make plays. To me, he qualified as a playmaker.
Sure.
And I think you just need a playmaker at the position. Like when you need a play to happen, when you need to move the football, when you need big plays, big explosive plays. I think that's one of the things that this Grizz team lacked. When they went through that stretch during the middle of the season, and I know obviously they had injuries at quarterback and things like that, but I want to say they went over a month without a play over 50 yards. So I think they just need those. They need some more explosive players on offense. You looked at James Madison. They had a couple times like you get the ball in their wide receivers' hands and they could take it to the house. Christian Watson, all these guys that from some of these other teams that go far in the playoffs, they have those guys that keep you up at night on offense. Those guys that can just get the ball in their hands and they're going to make plays. So I think that's something that they're lacking and they're going to try and get. But to me, I think they're going to be loaded on defense. Like, I think this defense is going to be really, really good, as good, if not better than last year. And that's going to be really exciting and going to be, the core of this team. And then if they can fill in those pieces on offense, I think that they, could be scary good.
Do you have to go chase available transfers on the D-line for the Grizz, or do you want to just try to develop and further develop? Do you hope just guys like Jacob McGoring and De'Aaron Todd and guys like that just take the next step, or do you want to go get some guys up front?
I think you get one. I don't think it's like a glaring need. I think guys like Henry Noose can get older and better and can rotate in. And I mean, he played a decent amount last year.
Yeah, he's pretty solid.
Yeah, I think they have guys that could get the job done. Their drop downs were good last year, but they weren't like dynamic pass rushers that were, game changers. Joe Babros and Belknap were very solid and very good and an integral part of the defense. But the defense wasn't great because those guys were just amazing, So I think they, will get a guy, but I think they're deep enough at that position. I think inside they're not losing anybody inside, and I think that's going to be a big key. Because I think they're solid there, and I think they're going to be solid at linebacker and corner and safety. I think they're going to be pretty good defensively.
I think they'll be good defensively as well. And I know they got a couple other transfers potentially in the mix to come in at the very least to add depth or maybe push for or challenge for starting spots, including a linebacker from Nebraska that was on campus this last weekend. I don't know which linebacker because there's like 4 linebackers from Nebraska in the transfer portal, so we'll continue to try to track that down. But needless to say, that would probably be a welcome addition given the graduation of Jace Lewis. They do have some good guys on the inside coming back, led by Marcus Wellnell as well as Braxton Hill. But they might need just another body there at that inside linebacker spot. But that's not really a concern.
And also, just think about it. I mean, you're basically almost, in theory, getting transfers at the running back position.
Sure.
Because they were so banged up last year that you get healthy at that position, and then Junior Bergen can, play the slot, and they can move him around, and he could be a dynamic weapon on offense. I mean, that's almost kind of like you're getting extra transfers, just getting healthy at the running back position.
Have you looked at all at this Lucas Johnson guy from San Diego State, the quarterback transfer? And if so, do you have any thoughts on him?
A little bit.
It's so hard to look at these guys on film now, right? Because it's like everybody's film looks good. Because the editing stuff is just so slick now. Everybody can make their film look awesome.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it looks like he can run the ball a little bit. From the highlights, you did see it looks like he's comfortable throwing the ball on the run. Can he stand in the pocket? I have no idea. I will say I'm just always a little hesitant with guys that have transferred multiple times. That's just how I've always been, because he was great at San Diego State, then why did he have to leave? Why did he have to leave? Georgia Tech was the other? Yeah. So to me, especially at the quarterback position, I know that there can be, coaching changes and staff changes and this and that, but I'm just always a little weary of multiple transfer guys. But, we're going to obviously hold our judgment and see how he is when he gets here.
He's Sean Rainey, SWX Montana Television. Okay, NFL hot takes for us?
Ooh.
Who's your upset special? Because there's 4 really good games this week. We got the Bengals at the Titans on Saturday afternoon, and then we got the Niners at the Packers Saturday night, and then we got, which one's first? I think Rams-Bucks is first. Is that right, or is that second? Either way, you got Rams-Bucks and then the Bills-Chiefs. So any of those intrigue you?
Well, I got the Bills winning or going to the Super Bowl.
So do I.
Yeah, so I like the Bills to upset the Chiefs. I picked, before the playoffs started, I picked Cincy to beat Tennessee, but they got pretty banged up on the defensive line. I think that they had 3 starters on the D-line go out, and so that has me a little nervous. So I'm not ready to take Cincinnati yet, but I kind of like them if you're getting 3.5 maybe. And then I think it's going to be more chalk on the NFC side. I know San Francisco's playing really well, and they're on this run, but in a must-win game to go into the Rams and you win that game, and then now you're going on the road and you beat the Cowboys, to then go on the road again in 3 straight weeks and get a win, I think is going to be tough. I understand the run game. I understand the matchup against Packers has been good, but I can't take Garoppolo over Aaron Rodgers. I just can't do it quarterback-wise. And so we saw how the Niners tried to lose that game against the Cowboys. The Cowboys just were so inept themselves. So I'm going to take Rodgers, and I'll take Brady.
But you think that the Chiefs might be on a little upset watch, huh?
Oh, yeah, dude. I think the Bills are rolling. The one thing that was holding them back is they couldn't figure out their run game. They couldn't figure out which running back. They're rotating all these guys, and they've let Devin Singletary just take the job, and they figured out how have a balanced offense using the running back and Josh Allen's legs, and that has opened up the rest of their offense. And I think defensively, I know they lost Tre'Davious White, but I think they're playing well enough, and I think they match up well with what Kansas City does. And it's going to be hard because they went into Kansas City and smoked them last time. It's hard to do that twice in a row. Kansas City obviously going to be pretty motivated. That is going to be just one heck of a game, and that's the one that I'm looking forward to the most, but I think the Bills can get it done.
Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television. Sean Rainey of SWX Montana joining us here on ESPN Radio. Thanks for being here, everybody. This was always fun.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
There you go. The man, SWX Montana Sports Director, Sean Rainey. This is Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio. Hope you're having a great Wednesday. About, 15, 20 minutes from now, we're going to be giving you a dozen wings at the Desperado Sports Tavern and Grill and 2 4-packs of tickets to the upcoming Grizz hockey singular. They do have a home-and-home this weekend, Grizz hockey does, Friday and Saturday. Friday's in Bozeman, Saturday back in Missoula. So a pretty interesting Montana State-Montana rivalry. Also, top of the hour, reminder, Jerome Sowers, longtime Big Sky Conference coach, now the new head coach for the Montana State Northern Lights Frontier Conference, gets the Big Sky's all-time leader in victories. Unbelievable that he's heading to MSU Northern. But next, sat down with Robbie Beasley. He's having a breakout sophomore year for the University of Montana men's basketball team. Part of it's been spurred on by him playing a little bit more on the ball. What does he think of adjusting to the college game? How's he been able to flourish at the level he has? What are his thoughts on the city of Missoula? It's the Grizz Star of the Week. Next, keep it right here, ESPN Radio.
Are you letting pain, stiffness, balance problems, or headaches keep you from what you love doing? Are you suffering from a sports injury, work-related injury? Were you in a car accident? Or are you just down and out? Then call Peak Performance Physical Therapy right away for your free injury consultation. That's right, free injury consultation. We want you to have a better understanding of your injury. We will give you guidance as to whether physical therapy will help. Peak Performance Physical Therapy is committed to getting you back to your peak performance in record time. Physical therapy will help speed up your recovery process, empower you to treat the cause of your pain, and get you back to what you love doing. This is Jill Olson, owner of Peak Performance Physical Therapy. We are located by Southgate Mall. Call for an appointment today. Don't detain your healing any longer. Call 542-0808. That's 542-0808.
Paul Ryan is a name that's been synonymous with law around the Garden City for decades. And Paul is excited to announce the expansion of his firm to Ryan, Holloway, and Miller. Paul Ryan, Nate Holloway, and Angie Miller have a fierce love for their community, and they want to help you with any of your legal needs. From auto accidents to medical malpractice to wrongful death or any criminal defense, Ryan, Holloway, and Miller should be your first call. When it comes to personal injury or criminal defense, call Ryan, Holloway, and Miller today. Ryan, Holloway, and Miller, your Montana attorneys.
Hi folks, this is Moose from Sunshine Motors. Are you looking for a truck or SUV? That is our specialty, and we will get you the best trade-in and the best price on your newer vehicle. Sunshine will find you a quality pre-owned truck or SUV of your choosing. That's only at Sunshine Motors on Broadway, off a reserve next to Costco, or on the web at sunshinemotors.com.
Sunshine Motors, they let the sunshine in.
Montana brings a variety of reasons to get outdoors. Gear up at Bob Ward's Sports and Outdoors, Montana's largest sporting goods retailer. For over 105 years, Bob Ward's has been committed to providing outstanding customer service, merchandise selection, and value. Bob Ward's has every brand and everything you need to run, climb, hunt, hike, camp, fish, ski, paddle, everything you do outdoors. Open 7 days a week in Missoula, Bozeman, Butte, Helena, and Hamilton. Or online 24/7 at bobwards.com. Gear up at Bob Ward's, a Montana tradition of adventure since 1917.
From high school basketball to prep wrestling to the Olympics, the Frontier Conference to the Big Sky, we are in the heart of winter sports across the state of Montana. We are happy to announce the continuation of our Treasure State Stars. Each Tuesday, me, Colter Nuanez, will highlight some of the best performances from the previous week from around the wide world of sports here in the state of Montana. Tune in Tuesdays during the 4 o'clock hour for each week's Treasure State Stars, proudly presented by Parkside Credit Union. Parkside Credit Union, the best place to get a loan in western Montana, because Parkside Credit Union loves to say yes.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Shockwaves emerged from the mining city on Monday with 2 huge decisions at the annual Montana High School Association meetings. Hello, I am Colter Nuanez. Among a myriad of decisions, the MHSA voted to add shot clocks to all classifications of varsity and sub-varsity basketball across the state for prep hoops, and the MHSA also announced the addition of baseball as a sport. Representatives from the high schools all across Montana met in person at the Copper King Hotel in Butte to discuss and vote on a number of issues, but the 2 proposals that drew the most attention were certainly baseball and shot clock. Since neither was an MHSA bylaw, both proposals required a simple majority and each passed in overwhelming fashion on Monday. Shot clocks and baseball are both planned to begin during the 2022-2023 academic school year. In Big Sky Conference hoops, a slew of makeup games played out on Monday across the league. In Bozeman, the Montana State women posted a 79-69 win over Idaho after taking 16 days off because of COVID protocols. In her first game since January 1st, Darian White scored 21 points and dished out 4 assists as MSU moved to 3-2 in league play. In the other Big Sky women's game Monday, Eastern Washington drilled Portland State 68-44. On the men's side, Northern Arizona emerged with a wild 74-72 win over Idaho in Flagstaff. Weber State drilled Idaho State 78-61, and Southern Utah ripped Portland State 86-76.
This 102.9 ESPN Missoula Sports Center is brought to you by Aspen Sound.
Hey, hey, you're my little señorita, y tú eres la más bonita. You got it going on. Hey, hey, hey.
Hey, what up, Montana? Colter Nuanez, Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, as well as SWX Montana Television. Thanks so much for hanging out with us here on your Wednesday. We're broadcasting to you live from the Northwest Motorsport Studio. Northwest Motorsport, new to Missoula, new to Montana. You can find them here in the Garden City at the corner of Stevens and Mount. You can also check them out online. Largest inventory of trucks anywhere in the Pacific Northwest. Visit NWMS Rocks to check out that inventory. Thanks to Northwest Motorsport, proudly supporting Nuanez Now. The weather's been weird. It's been fluctuating all over the place, but up in the mountains, they get a ton of snow. Lost Trail, they have awesome conditions. There's plenty of powder and more in store. Their all-mountain program has been going for a couple weeks, but you can still sign up. Lost Trail programs focus on safety with small groups based on age and ability levels. to get your kids signed up for any sort of ski lesson, any all-mountain program, anything like that, or to find out snow conditions, check out lift ticket prices, all of it, you can go to losttrail.com. Lost Trail, go for the snow. The University of Montana men's basketball team, you always rejoice when you get to Wednesday and you haven't got a cancellation or a postponement when it comes to college hoops. I shouldn't laugh, but it's just getting so tiresome. It's been so tiresome, let's just be honest. But Montana plays Portland State tomorrow night. As of right now, it's still a go. And then they play Northern Arizona on Saturday. And the Bobcats, same deal, but they're at NAU Thursday and then at Portland State on Saturday. About a year ago, when Montana played Portland State, it was sort of the breakout moment for Robbie Beasley III. He's a combo guard for the University of Montana men's basketball team, and he hit a game winner from about 25, 26 feet last year against Portland State. And so sort of a return to that memory and sort of the moment when Beasley sort of broke out. He had a pretty good freshman year. He's an outstanding free throw shooter, one of the top free throw shooters in NCAA basketball, and that helped him score some points his freshman year. But he's taken his game up a notch. He sort of struggled shooting the ball in the non-conference, but he's been getting a lot more consistent shooting the ball. He's up to about 40% from the floor, but he is shooting 38% from three, which is very good, especially for a player that shoots off the dribble as frequently as he does. And he's had some big games so far in conference play. He led Montana in scoring against Weber State. He had 18 points, and he's averaging 11.5 points per game. The other thing that's been big for Montana is they've been playing him on the ball a little bit, even when Cam Parker's in the game, and that gives them a lot of diversity on offense. So they have several guys that can play on and off the ball because Brandon Whitney can play on and off the ball. Beasley can, Cam Parker can. So that's been interesting to watch evolve for the Grizz basketball team. Montana at Portland State. Tomorrow, I caught up with Robbie Beasley this morning. Well, we're sitting down here at Dahlberg Arena. I just watched Robbie Beasley get done with a shooting workout, and it made me think of this great Sports Illustrated article once upon a time. Are you old enough, Robbie, to remember Peja Stojakovic?
Probably not, no.
So Peja Stojakovic is a great shooter for the Kings, probably late 90s, so this was probably when you were just a little kid, maybe not even born yet, but he was one of the first great international players. But the article was all about, the writer was saying, Peja was finished his workout just like I was watching you finish your workout, and Peja told him, hey, I got to make 100 three-pointers before I can do this thing. Well, the writer's like, well, how long is that going to take? He hit 100 three-pointers and 103 shots. And that was like the beginning of the article. That's how good of a shooter he was. What were you just doing, though? That was kind of like all around the world, right? You're just working on all the different shots?
Yeah, so we just do all around the world to just warm up. And then at the end of the workouts, me and Flo try to make it more specific to the team we're about to play, especially like the ball screen coverage that they do. And P State, they do a lot of drop coverage, so if you snake it, you get a mid-range. There's a lot of stuff open, and it's fun because he like plays the guard and he tries to block my shot, and it's really fun. So
Robbie Beasley joining us as our Grizz Star of the Week, presented by Bob Ward's Sports and Outdoors. Robbie's a sophomore guard for the University of Montana men's basketball team. And Jay Flores, the assistant coach working about Portland State, the upcoming opponent for the Grizz. And that's an interesting part about college hoops to me, Robbie, is there's a lot more detail than maybe the fans see when you talk about defensive coverages and preps and scouts and stuff like that. Now that you're kind of into the midst of your second year playing college hoops, has that part gotten easier? Was that part hard when you first got to college, just kind of the details that it takes?
Yeah, honestly, my first year, I was like more worried about I was more like in my head more a little bit because I was a freshman, and the details of the other team honestly sometimes didn't register in the game because I was so frantic and a little bit out of control. But now like the game slowed down, so now I can really pay attention. Like, oh, I know this team's gonna ice me, so I can manipulate the ball screen in certain ways, or a team's gonna force me a certain way, so maybe the opposite side corner might be open, stuff like that. The game has sort of slowed down, and I see more of those things other than last year where I was like, if I get the ball, what am I going to do with it? Am I going to score? Am I do this? So that's more of the difference.
Well, if you're playing D1 hoops, you obviously spent so much time growing up playing basketball, but it's different at the college level, right? Because even if you are playing just as much, it's totally different in just all of the different elements of skill development and prepping for teams and all that. What's the biggest differences, though, to you?
The biggest difference to me probably is just the intensity on defense.
Yeah.
And the attention to detail about you personally, like what your habits are. I feel like scouts, well, you don't really scout, really, in high school and middle school and coming up, AAU especially, you don't even know the name of your opponent. But at this level, they know exactly what you're trying to do and when you're trying to do it. So that makes it even harder, and you got to be even better at what you do in order to be effective in the game.
Fun matchup this weekend because it's always pretty fun when Montana plays Portland State. Contrasting styles. I know Portland State has a new coaching staff, but it seems like they're still running a lot of the same up-tempo stuff. They want to press you, pressure you, all that sort of stuff. They're also going to crash the offensive glass, try to get second chance points, all that. But also sort of a cool reunion for you because your first start last year as a true freshman came against Portland State. I know, by the way, you hit a game winner right at the end. So take us through it. I mean, that was kind of a breakthrough moment for you as a Grizzly, right?
Yeah, I just remember, like, at the beginning of that game, I think I had, like, 3 turnovers in, like, 6 possessions.
Right.
And then, so I was obviously a little rattled. But, you know, I had a good game overall. I hit a few threes. I made a few big plays on defense. But I just remember when I caught the ball right there, I was like, I just had, like, some confidence in me. And it was crazy to me because, you know, you do that in your first start, and you obviously feel good about that. Like, get a win at Portland State, which for the past few years, that's been a hard win to get on the road. So it felt really good.
Robbie Beasley joins us, our Grizz Star of the Week, presented by Bob Ward Sports and Outdoors. And you and your class, such a weird experience for you guys because you're coming here and you see campus and you know what Montana's all about. And then all of a sudden a pandemic hits and everything that they sold you on, you can't do it. You can't go out to the cool places in Missoula. You can't play in front of 5,000 fans. And I know it was a really hard year for everybody last year. It was it's great to be sitting here with you right now because it was terrible just like getting to know you guys on Zoom calls and stuff. But this must be so much, as bad as it was, it must be great and sort of revitalizing for you guys to sort of see what Missoula has to offer, what the University of Montana has to offer.
Definitely a certain feeling that you get, especially during the games, when you could just see fans and you could just see the energy and hear it. Like last year, it just felt like it was a scrimmage, you know? It was an empty gym.
Right.
And like it still meant because it's a game. Like
Sure.
This counts towards our record, but like you just don't get the same feeling. Like you can't replicate it. The first game we played in here with fans, I was like, it was just such an exhilarating feeling, just like scoring and like seeing everyone cheering or like making a big play, getting a stop, and the crowd just gets loud, especially against Weber. That was a really loud gym. It was a really fun gym to play in. So that feeling, it's great having fans and having people watch you play and really support you.
Having covered Grizz hoops for 15 years now, I've seen it so often, too. So often, the freshman guys, they can take their game to a different level at home because, like you say, sometimes you may be a little nervous, scared, jittery, whatever, but then you make a big play, and the crowd ignites, and it just takes you to another level. You start playing outside your mind, and things kind of slow down, and you guys didn't get to experience that, which was really too bad. But now here we are in Montana. Been pretty good early on in Big Sky Conference play, but you guys haven't played in a little while. You had the loss to the Bobcats in Bozeman, and then last week got called off, so you guys have been off for 10, 11 days by the time you guys play against Portland State. What's it been like these last 10 or 11 days? What have you guys been trying to take care of, concentrate on?
Well, we've just been trying to like tighten things up and, you know, get up and down, especially because we haven't been playing. And if you haven't been playing for a while and you don't really get up and down in the first game, those first few possessions, that win is going to hit you. So we've just been like tightening certain things up, certain little details that we might not have been able to do if we were playing because we would worry about our opponent. But since we had like a little break, we're able to just focus on little details that we need to work on.
Seems like since Big Sky Conference play, too, you guys have been tweaking the lineup a little bit. You've been playing on the ball a little bit more. What do you like about that? Because I know you're comfortable doing that, but you know, at the college level and playing in this offense, how you've adjusted to that element of it?
You know, I like playing in the pick and roll because I like distributing the ball. And sometimes that's hard to do when you're off the ball, especially when teams kind of key in on you and deny you the ball. So starting with the ball and like getting in a ball screen and igniting the offense, I like doing that just because I like seeing or making plays on the ball. So I've adjusted just, you know, getting my handles tighter, making sure people don't think they can pick me up 94 and pressure me or bully me off the ball. But I think I've adjusted well, and I like playing like that. So.
How else have you seen just the rotation and just sort of the meshing of the team come together here these last couple of weeks?
Honestly, I think we've been really good at adjusting to our lineups to the opponents that we play. Like sometimes we want to play big and we want a defensive lineup at first. When teams want to just go up and down, we're like, no, we don't want you to get up and down. We want you to play our way. We want you to, it needs to be a grimy game and a gutsy game, really. So I think we've adjusted our lineups, and we've adjusted pretty good, like with our chemistry as well, because I know that that's hard when you keep changing lineups when you're playing with different players. Sometimes it's hard for people to get a rhythm, but I think we've adjusted really well.
Robbie Beasley joining us here on Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, as well as SWX Montana Television. It's our Grizz Star of the Week, presented by Bob Ward's Sports and Outdoors. And we sort of mentioned Portland State, but what's your overall thoughts on Portland State? Because in this league, there's certain teams that are tough matchups for other teams, or I guess it's always a good game when you play other teams. And it seems like Portland State's one of those for you guys because they do have great athletes that can kind of hang with the great athletes here in Montana. So what are your thoughts on Portland State as you guys make this road trip?
They're going to get into you on defense, and they're going to make you make mistakes, and they're going to make you have second thoughts about everything you do. So you got to play confident and aggressive. And I think last year we didn't really have that. We didn't have that swagger to us. We didn't have that confidence. We didn't have decisiveness. And I think this year it's going to be a lot different because we know where we're trying to get to, and we have confidence in not only ourselves but the other guys surrounding. And I think it's going to be a good game, and I think we're ready.
The way that the schedule is going to play out, none of us can predict it. We can't control it. How are you guys approaching it as players, though? Because it's kind of crazy to think the tournament's about 7 weeks away, and there's a whole lot of games between now and then. Do you guys think about just the grind that this could be, or are you guys just kind of taking it every game as it just comes about?
Just every game. You can't really look too far ahead of the future. You can't get ahead of yourself. You just got to focus on your next opponent and win every single game. So,
Robbie Beasley joining us here on Grizz Star of the Week. Good luck in Portland, man. Thanks for being here.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Grizz Star of the Week, proudly presented by Bob Ward Sports and Outdoors. Heart of winter right now. Bob Ward's always has the best selection when it comes to ski, snowboard gear, outdoor gear for any of your wintertime activities, cross-country skiing, downhill skiing. They also have a great ski selection. Also, though, I like going in there because I'm always dreaming of the summer when I can play golf. I like the winter, too. I love the seasonality of Montana. One of my favorite parts about living here. But I'm always dreaming about golf. Always. I like going in there and checking out the golf stuff, too. Sometimes you get some golf stuff on sale. Very fun. Bob Ward Sports and Outdoors, locally owned and operated for more than 6 decades, and proud sponsor of the Grizz Star of the Week. You want some wings? How about some hockey tickets? Wing It Wednesday, presented by the Desperado Sports Tavern and Grill. Your chance to win a dozen wings. Plus, we got news on maybe the most awesome promotion we've ever had around here. We have all sorts of good stuff, so I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't rank them because there's all sorts of sweet stuff that we give you all the time. This is just very creative, but also an opportunity for so many of you to enjoy the deliciousness that is the Despo. More details on our 10th anniversary and 10 wings every 10 minutes for the entire month of February. Keep it right here. Wing It Wednesday. Next. If you're a gun enthusiast, you already know firearms and ammunition are as hard to come by these days as ever. Stay up to date with all the inventory both in-house and online at Selway Armory by signing up for Selway's newsletter. The Selway Armory newsletter will not only provide you updates on what's in stock at 2825 Stockyard Road, Unit E6. Signing up for the newsletter will also enter you for a chance to win free ammunition. And remember, even if the Selway warehouse doesn't have it in stock, you can always check out SelwayArmory.com. Selway Armory, your local firearms expert.
Hi there, it's Les Schwab Tires, introducing the new Backcountry AT2 for a quieter ride with improved performance in wet conditions. Because when it comes to keeping your family safe on the road this winter, the right tires help you feel prepared for anything.
Mom, hey Mom.
Well, almost anything. Plus, save up to $130 when you buy Quatrac tires with financing. Les Schwab Tires. Limited time offer. Terms and conditions apply. See leschwab.com/sale for details.
Part of the glory of building a business comes from leaving a legacy to ensure your business continues thriving into the future. Have you asked yourself lately, what is your plan? Forming a personalized business succession plan is essential to know the passion you put into your business will carry on. Nick Tabor at Westpac Wealth is here to help you navigate all your business succession and retirement planning needs. Give Nick a call at 728-6699 and keep the spirit of possibility vibrant while making your future more tax efficient with a personalized business succession and retirement plan for you.
The world of real estate is always evolving. That's more true now than ever. If you are a longtime Missoulian that is looking to upgrade or downsize, it might be the best time yet to sell. If you're in the position to buy something new, today might be the best time to buy. And no matter what questions you have when it comes to residential or commercial real estate, Mike Nugent and the professionals at Berkshire Hathaway in Missoula have your answers. To find out what Mike can do for you, give him a call today, 531-1802. And remember, every question is good to ask.
Paul Ryan is a name that's been synonymous with law around the Garden City for decades. And Paul is excited to announce the expansion of his firm to Ryan, Holloway, and Miller. Paul Ryan, Nate Holloway, and Angie Miller have a fierce love for their community, and they want to help you with any of your legal needs. From auto accidents to medical malpractice to wrongful death or any criminal defense, Ryan, Holloway, and Miller should be your first call. When it comes to personal injury or criminal defense, call Ryan, Holloway, and Miller today. Ryan, Holloway, and Miller, your Montana attorneys.
Like most Montanans, we love a good steak. And because we're the Montana Club, we take the steaks we serve very seriously. We're confident to say that our custom grilled steaks are as good a steak as you're going to get. Now we're proud to add regularly sourced, naturally raised Castle Rock bison ribeye to our selection. And remember, the Montana Club steak entrees include the sides. Come into the Montana Club today for an unrivaled steak experience. The Montana Club on Brooks and North Reserve, Missoula.
This is Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Radio Missoula.
Boys playing ball in the parking lot. A preacher, a teacher, and the other became a cop. A car skidded into the rain, making the last little one to say.
What up, Montana? Welcome back. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, as well as SWX Montana Television. Coming to you from the Northwest Motorsport Studio. Hope you're having a great Wednesday. Wednesday means it's a Wing It Wednesday. So, coming up, your opportunity to win a dozen wings from the Desperado Sports Tavern and Grill. Best wings in Missoula. Also, though, your opportunity to win not one, but 2 4-packs of Grizz hockey tickets. Not one person's going to win 2. 2 of you are going to win 4-packs. You can't win twice, not one day. Actually, you can't even win twice in 30 days. But that's here nor there. Stay tuned. Coming up in just a minute, we got Grizz hockey tickets and wings from the Desperado Sports Tavern and Grill. It's part of our Wing It Wednesday, which we do each Wednesday here during the 4 o'clock hour on Nuanez Now. Tucker Sargent, general manager and executive there for the Grizz hockey team, he joined us earlier this week to break down this upcoming matchup and just talk all the way around the world of hockey. Quickly, because we do have to get to it, in the month of February, each Wednesday, we're not giving you 1 dozen wings from the Desperado Sports Tavern and Grill. No, every 10 minutes throughout the show, we are giving you an opportunity for 10 wings. So you're going to have to stay tuned, but it should be an awesome giveaway. A total of 800 wings we're going to give away in February in celebration of our 10th anniversary. 10 wings every 10 minutes for the 10th year anniversary of Nuanez Now. Well, college sports are so fascinating because of all the variability in scheduling, but very rare do we have like an elongated Christmas break within the scope of a season. But we do, have no fear. Grizz hockey on its way back, played a ton of games. Seemed like they were here on ESPN Radio as well as down at the Glacier Ice Rink or somewhere across the western United States all the time during the fall semester. And they've been off now since mid-December, but Grizz hockey now makes its illustrious return at least to Missoula this weekend. So Tucker Sargent joins us in studio. It's our Grizz hockey segment presented by Peak Performance Physical Therapy as well as the Desperado Sports Tavern and Grill. Stay tuned. We got Grizz hockey tickets for you, courtesy of Peak Performance, and we also have a dozen wings, courtesy of the Desperado. Desperado's right there by Glacier Ice Rink, so what an evening. You can go have yourself some wings, either before or after the game, and then go check out some Grizz hockey. Tucker Sargent, general manager, and the guy that helped bring this thing to town, in studio with us. So talk about that element of it. I mean, what the break, what's that like? I mean, it's not necessarily easy to monitor your guys and all the things, but also probably good to have some time off.
No, I think, both of those are absolutely true. For me personally, it was sort of nice to just have a moment of reprieve after going so hard and so fast at the start of the season to get this thing going. It just seemed like every minute we were doing something with Grizz hockey, and then you just get to take a second to sit back and relax. And I think for the players too, it was fairly needed. I mean, they played 17 games in the fall semester, and just having that time to just take a break, let your body recover, heal. We were fairly healthy at the end of the season, but just having that little bit of rest. And then, there's always the concern with the holidays and, overeating and guys, falling a little out of shape.
Right.
But, we
happens to the best of us.
We talked to them a lot about the break and, having to maintain that. And for the most part, they did. When guys came back, the first practice, we skated them pretty hard. And there were some guys dogging it, but it only took about one for people to jump back in and get back into form.
Well, that's the fun part about this, too, though, is there is a lot of self-accountability from the athletes, right? I mean, that's true for all college sports, but the fact that the structure of this team, a lot of the times the fitness and all that stuff is a lot of times on the guys, right?
Well, it is to a degree. I mean, we have mandatory workouts that the guys are doing, and our ice times are only a couple times a week, but they're out there working out every day. So they've built where we built them a pretty good schedule to maintain and gave them something to go home with. So yeah, I mean, there's personal accountability, but that's an easy thing because guys want to perform, and the ones that are in better shape are going to be out there quicker and more often. So, there is an incentive for them to maintain that level of conditioning.
Well, a lot of these guys, too, I mean, they are playing because they love the game, right? I mean, that's...
And a lot of them did continue to play through break. There was different holiday tournaments they jumped in. They played with some high school buddies, alumni games at other places, where they're from. So it's not like they were totally off the ice. I mean, you play hockey, it's in your blood, and you tend to do it as much as you can.
Tucker Sargent in studio with us here on Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio. You're a little sore from playing some hockey this weekend,
right? I played a lot of hockey this weekend. I played every night from Wednesday through yesterday, and it takes a toll. Now, these kids can handle it a little better than I can. It's something that you can't give up.
Well, we don't have the special juice that Tom Brady's been drinking in the morning, so...
I need that pliability, dude.
I know. Well, I was thinking about this the other day, though. Tucker is a New England native and a big-time Patriots fan, and I would say sorry for your loss on Saturday, but watching the Patriots get whipped is just...
it was a full-on butt whooping.
It's such an anomaly. It never happened, so I don't feel sorry as much as, I was just impressed the Patriots made the playoffs. I thought the fact they rolled the dice on Mac Jones and
I think if you step back, the season was fine.
For someone that's not invested in the team whatsoever, I thought they had a good year. I thought they were good at times.
There was a lot of bright spots in knowing that this wasn't a Super Bowl year. But do they have a foundation they can build off of? Yeah, I think they do. Now the division's gotten a lot harder with what Buffalo's doing. And Josh Allen, it looks untouchable.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be 6 straight wins in division for the
people are talking about
Patriots.
And Patrick Mahomes is sort of the class of the AFC right now, but. Watching Josh Allen, what he did last year, getting him to the AFC and where he and how he's played towards the end of this season, particularly against the Patriots, I think that, the argument could be made that Allen is right in the same class as where Mahomes is right now.
I mean, when he's at his best, he's definitely one of the best in the league. There's no question about it. I know that the Grizz hockey schedule's been...
back to hockey.
The Grizz hockey schedule's been sort of in flux. So I'm looking at the schedule right now. Did you guys have games against Eastern Washington this last weekend?
We went to Eastern Washington, and then our good friend Omicron popped up on the Eastern Washington campus, and they had enough kids test positive where they couldn't play the game. So we took a little sojourn to Cheney, checked it out, spent the night, and came back home. So we did not
Beautiful place. Yeah, great destination.
Yeah, it was a nice little road trip.
Go to the Safeway. It's a happening place.
Stay at a Holiday Inn. There's two establishments in town. So unfortunately, games were not played. But to Eastern's credit, because they couldn't play, they gave us their rank, and we were able to get out there.
Oh, cool. So you got some practice in.
So we got to practice. It was pretty. We made it fun for the players. We just did our own. We split the team up, did a scrimmage. They had a good time, and just sort of a loose skate that night. Beautiful facility there. Can't say enough about the Eastern program and what they put on. But unfortunately, when Omicron rears its head, and you've got there's just a point at which you can't play a game safely. You can't say, oh well, we have 8 guys, we're just going to go for it. I mean, then you're risking injury. So I understand where Eastern was at. It's unfortunate, but it's the nature of sports right now, and everyone's dealing with it. This is not unique. So, by now we're just it's expected this stuff happens and how you deal with it. So this coming weekend will be our first actual games back, providing nothing else happens. Friday night, we're going to Bozeman to play Montana State, and then we're doing a home and home with them. So then Saturday, they're coming back here for our second to last home game, and this should be an extra special one. It's been a long time. Guys are excited, and we're making a big deal of this one. It's our last home bout with MSU, and we really want to honor where hockey has started, where it's began its roots in the late 70s, early 80s in Montana with the guys from the university starting it out. So we actually have some special throwback Grizz jerseys in the old school colors we're gonna bust out. No one's seen them yet, not even the players. So they're cool. It's gonna be exciting. It's gonna be a good look, and I think it should get people pretty fired up to see the old copper and gold come out for one time and just kind of honor the tradition of where hockey started in Montana.
Tucker Sargent in studio with us, former co-host of this show, but also heavily involved in both Grizz lacrosse and Grizz hockey. Grizz lacrosse coming up a little sooner than we want to believe, right?
Yeah, it is, man. It's right around the corner. February 5th is our first game, and we're heading out to Corvallis and playing Oregon State.
Well, at least you're not playing in Montana on February 5th. That sounds sort of tenuous. But Grizz hockey back home this weekend, Saturday night. The traditional colors game, and even the tickets are copper and gold. You want to go watch Cat Grizz, Grizz Cat, whatever you want to call it, at the Glacier Ice Rink Saturday night, 8 p.m. Call us right now. We got 4 tickets for you to the Grizz hockey return, the start of the second part of the home slate of the season. Saturday night, 8 p.m., Glacier Ice Rink, 406-888-1029. That's 888-1029. Call us right now. Caller number 4. We have 4 tickets for you to Saturday night's Grizz hockey game. And stay tuned. Just about 5 minutes away, we'll give you a chance to win some wings from the Desperado Sports Tavern and Grill as well. That's, again, 406-888-1029. Call us right now. Call number 4. We got 4-pack of tickets to the Grizz hockey game for you. Tuck, Montana State is a well-established program, so we'll sort of scout coming into this game. Sort of a challenging opponent to sort of get back in the swing of things for the second half of this season.
Absolutely, and that's what we want. We've played them a number of times, so I think at this point we have a good idea of who they are. What they don't know, and if they're listening to this, they'll find out. But we've actually added a number of a couple new players, high caliber players, for the spring semester to finish out the season. So
I think little mid-year transfers.
We've got a couple mid-year transfers.
Some ringers.
Yeah, one guy, Josh Chamberlain, coming over from. He was going to school back in New Hampshire at New England College and felt the calling to come home. And then we got Owen Lee, who Bruins fans will remember that name, one of the stud players from the Missoula Bruins. Canadian by birth, and was looking at some other options, and just sort of the way the world worked, we were able to pull him back to Missoula as well. So I think that people should be excited about the additions to the roster and what that's done to the team. And, we're a very different looking team from where we were at the start of the season. So it's been awesome to see the growth of it. And truthfully, part of the reason these guys are here is because the fans of Missoula have made this such a destination to play, that these guys have seen on camera and heard from guys that they know in town about the program and what they're seeing, and they're saying Missoula is the destination I want to be. So again, thanks to the fans for making all these games such a raucous and fun environment that we are landing some big fish coming to Missoula, and it's only going to get better.
Tucker Sargent in studio here on Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, as well as SWX Montana Television. Last question for you. You mentioned that maybe you look a little bit different, both in personnel, but also maybe in style. What sort of things have you added? I mean, not to, ruin the surprise or ruin the scout for Montana State, because I know, there's millions of people listening to this show.
Well, one of the big things we've been working on is just getting more scoring chances in 5-on-5 scenarios, just even situations. Our power play has been really good, and our odd man breaks, we've been able to capitalize on that. We've got some really good finishers. But one of the areas where I feel that the team can continue to develop is just on even situation and scoring opportunities in that. So we spent a lot of time in developing that. And part of that's just coming through chemistry, and adding some guys who understand that can, make scoring chances happen with the players when you're in an even man situation. So been spending a lot of time just chemistry, and that builds over the season. And with the 2 additions of guys who've been in this scenario at higher levels is going to really help the depth of the lineups. And, we're looking at as a very deep team going into this final push for the playoffs.
Well, how about more opportunities to go to this Grizz hockey game Saturday night? We'll do 4 more tickets, plus we're going to pair them with some Desperado wings as well. That's a great prize. You go have a dozen wings, Desperado Sports Tavern and Grill. I'm always going down there because I love the place anyways. Brian's my guy.
I spend a lot of time there. This weekend we were.
Oh yeah,
we ate our fair share.
That's right. But my new thing though is my brother lives right up Hillview, right past the Despo, and his kids are loving the wings too. So I've just been going and picking some up on Sunday morning, take them up, feed the kids some lunch. Mom's then lets us, watch football afternoons. Pretty good.
It's one of the things you don't hear about much over there. It just knocks it out of the park, though. Mac and cheese bites.
Ooh, I see. I was looking at those the other day. I was thinking I need to try something new here because I always just crush wings and fries.
Especially if you're bringing them up to a little kid.
Oh, yeah.
You are going to be a hero.
Well, how about we send you to the Desperado Sports Tavern and Grill plus the Grizz hockey game? Call us right now. Caller number 3, 406-888-1029. We got 4 tickets to the Grizz hockey game Saturday night, 8 p.m., Glacier Ice Rink. And we also got a dozen wings, the Desperado Sports Tavern and Grill. Have yourself an awesome evening. Go hit up the Despo and then hit up Glacier Ice Rink. Go watch Cat Grizz Cat, whatever you want to call it, hockey style at the Glacier Ice Rink. Tucker Sargent in studio with us for the first time in 2022. He'll also be back next week for some more Grizz hockey action, and he'll be back in the month of February, not only to talk some Grizz lacrosse, but also, this is crazy, it's the 10th anniversary of ESPN next month. So we are going to be doing a commemorating little series. I've only been a part of this for half the time. I've only been on board since 2017, but we're going to have a series of good stories for you. Tuck will tell some of his memories from back in the day. We're also going to have Ryan Tutel, one of our other founding fathers here at ESPN Missoula, Tommy Evans, and maybe even a couple surprise guests, including somebody maybe you've never heard from on the radio before. And I promise you, if we get her to do it, you'll never hear from her on the radio again either. But either way, stay tuned for that. But Tuck, we'll see you next week, man. Thanks for coming by.
Yeah, thanks. Hope to see you at the rink.
There you go. We get Wednesday, presented by the Desperado Sports Tavern and Grill. Congratulations to our winner. And starting in 2 weeks, each Wednesday for the month of February, 10 wings every 10 minutes in commemoration of our 10th anniversary. We'll keep reminding you, and stay tuned for that. Hour 1 in the books, Hour 2 coming at you. Jerome Sowers, the new head coach for the Montana State Northern Lights, joins us next for our ESPN Roundtable.
ESPN Radio for Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula.
Paul Ryan is a name that's been synonymous with law around the Garden City for decades, and Paul is excited to announce the expansion of his firm to Ryan, Holloway, and Miller. Paul Ryan, Nate Holloway, and Angie Miller have a fierce love for their community, and they want to help you with any of your legal needs. From auto accidents to medical malpractice to wrongful death or any criminal defense, Ryan, Holloway, and Miller should be your first call. When it comes to personal injury or criminal defense, call Ryan, Holloway, and Miller today. Ryan, Holloway, and Miller, your Montana attorneys. Hey, it's Colter Nuanez from Nuanez Now. I'm here with Brent Wahlberg of the Wahlberg team at Windermere Real Estate. And Brent, you guys have been the official realtors of Grizz Athletics for quite some time. What most do you like about supporting the Grizz in Missoula?
Born and raised here in Missoula. I grew up 2 blocks off campus. A lot of us Montana kids were growing up on weekends in the fall. You're out in the woods hunting. I was sitting in Dorn Blazer and then Washington Grizzly Stadium watching the Grizz. I grew up with Grizz in my blood. It's just a wonderful part of our community and happy to be a part of it.
Give the Wahlberg team a call today, 529-4663. Whether you're in the restaurant business or you just want to host any big event, J&V Restaurant Supply can make sure you have everything you need. J&V Restaurant Supply is your home for everything kitchen. Whether you're a bear or a bobcat, an eagle or a Scotty, J&V Restaurant has everything you might need. They have locations in Bozeman, Billings, and Great Falls. If you can't make it in, J&V also has a great website, jvrestaurant.com. Get everything you need for your next event at J&V, your restaurant specialists. Do you remember how fond you were of your baseball cards as a kid? To recapture that feeling, swing into Zootown Sports Cards. Missoula's premier trading card shop carries all the products you will need for collecting, whether you are renewing an old hobby, just getting started, or looking for a fun activity for your kids. With inventory that is updated regularly, Zootown Sports Cards has the best selections at the best prices anywhere in the valley. Open from noon till 6 on Tuesday through Friday and 10 to 6 on Saturdays. Come check out Zootown Sports Cards at South Avenue in Higgins, across from Dorn Blazer Field.
School is back in session, and it's time to start rallying around those high school heroes, students. Know a high schooler who excels in the classroom, who exemplifies school and community spirit? Nominations for the Mattress Firm Student of the Year are now being accepted. A new student will be selected for each week of the fall and spring semesters, and they'll not only get a chance to share their story live on ESPN Radio each week, but they'll also have a chance at a college scholarship at the end of the school year. Submit your Mattress Firm Student Athlete of the Week at mattressfirmmt.com.
What is dedication?
My daughter started making necklaces. She makes what we call affirmation fashion. I tell her every day that your black is beautiful. And if there's anything better than being beautiful, it's being smart. And if there's anything better than being smart, it's being kind. And reaffirming that every day is our method of making sure her chin never drops.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
My papa's son wandering out a smoking gun. Now some of you you would live through me, then lock me up and throw away the key.
Ooh, a little Steve Earle for you here on a Wednesday. Hope you're having an outstanding middle of the week. Hoping you're having an outstanding week overall. Welcome back in. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, as well as SWX Montana Television. I'm Colter Nuanez, coming to you from the Northwest Motorsport Studio. Northwest Motorsport has the largest selection of lifted trucks, diesel trucks, and off-road capable SUVs. You can visit nwmsrocks.com to find the largest inventory of trucks anywhere in the Pacific Northwest. Missed anything in the first hour of the show? We had a fun first hour. Heard from our main man, Sean Rainey, sports director at SWX Montana Television. Talking about high school shot clocks, crosstown hoops here in the city of Missoula, and some NFL playoffs as well. We also had our Grizz Star of the Week featuring University of Montana men's basketball player Robbie Beasley. And we heard from Tucker Sargent, the revival of Grizz hockey. Grizz hockey back in town after being off since mid-December. They're down at the Glacier Ice Rink Saturday night here in Missoula. So if you haven't checked them out yet, go check them out. And if you have checked them out, you already know it's a hell of a time. It's a fun time. Happy to have Grizz hockey back in the fold. You can find everything from today's first hour on the Nuanez Now podcast, which is proudly presented by Sportsbet Montana. You can find it on each and every one of your podcast hosting platforms. It is a Wednesday, so that means it's time for our long-form interview, the ESPN Roundtable. ESPN Roundtable proudly presented by Paradise Falls of Missoula. Welcome in a guy I've known for a long time, a guy who taught me a tremendous amount about the game of football. It's Jerome Sowers, longtime Grizz assistant coach, longtime head coach in the Big Sky Conference, and now, most recently, the new head coach for the Montana State Northern Lights. Coach Sowers, thanks so much for being with us, man. How you doing?
Colter, I'm doing great. It's great to be here. Appreciate you having me on.
Of course, we love having you on. For those, for a little background for all of you out there, when I first moved back to Montana, started working in newspapers, we used to have a Big Sky Conference coaches call. Each Wednesday, we would have 10 minutes with each head coach from around the Big Sky Conference. And I just thought it was endlessly fascinating. And at that time, there was some interesting coaches in the league. Several guys who I've kept up with throughout the years who've taught me so much about the game. Coach Sowers, Tim Walsh down at Cal Poly, Mike Kramer, of course, most recently of Idaho State. And just talking to those guys, sort of the resident historians of the league, it sort of set the stage for everything that we've then built at Skyline Sports and sort of our partnership here with ESPN Missoula as well. So it's awesome having you back in the fold, Coach. And so let's start with the here and now, the news of the week. You are the new head coach at Montana State Northern, back in Montana, back in the Frontier Conference. So you've been a head coach for a long time, 21 years at NAU, been away from the game for a little while. I know you're working at Southern Oregon, but just take people through it. What's it been like since you retired at NAU, and what sort of led you back to this opportunity now up in Havre?
I think we made a pretty good run at Northern Arizona University, but it was time to do a different deal. And having a chance to, my wife and I go out to Oregon, and it's closer to my family. And along the way, we had intended to work with young people in some capacity. I don't know, I was either going to coach high school or something. And we just had great plans that way. Well, then COVID hit, and we had some tough times, and then the personal tragedy hit me when I lost her in 2020. So my life position is different. The trajectory is different, and I tried to coach in Ashland for a year, and it was Coach Charlie Hall, and that program was so supportive of me. It broke my heart. I had to leave, but I had to leave, and on my way out of it, I ended up resettling in Portland, and then got a call from the administration at Montana State University Northern to see if I'd be interested in looking at their position. And so I was, and not sure what I would see or find. What I found was, in my opinion, a diamond in the rough, an absolute gold mine, and starting with a chance for Greg Kegel and his vision for this university. I've met some, everybody talks about how cold it is in Havre, but they're some of the warmest people, in the state of Montana. And those were always the best part of my memories about working in the state of Montana were the people. Many of my friends and relationships that I've shared when I was here raising my young family, they still stand today. And it's unusual to make that kind of connection, but I'm reminded why, and it's the quality of people that are in this state. People that are honest, that look you straight in the eye, and maybe I've been on the West Coast too long, but I sure appreciate being back.
Well, it's true. I mean, the best part about the state of Montana, the beauty, the big sky, all that, it is the people. It is the honesty, integrity, and just the fabric that makes up our communities. And so, very awesome. On our behalf here at ESPN Radio and, of course, Skyline Sports as well, deepest condolences on the loss of your wife, too, Coach, because that is just, it is an unspeakable tragedy, and that's so tough for you to try to navigate. But it seems like, though, this opportunity then maybe is a sort of a fresh start, but also so fun for you because it is a full circle. I mean, you spent more than a decade at the University of Montana as well. So how does that part feel? The fact that, you moved from Montana in the late 90s and now here you are, 25 years later coming back to the state of Montana.
I think it became evidently clear when, after being in Oregon that, Oregon has changed a lot since it had been 35 years since I'd lived there. And my family's well established out there, and it was just having trouble finding my niche on my own. But I think deep in my heart, Montana's always been a very special place to me, and my children were born here in Missoula, and so to be back in the state is something I think deep down in my soul was there all along, and maybe I didn't really acknowledge it, but it was there, and crossing the state line, that I could feel the difference, and it feels like a home to me, and I'm excited to be here, and embracing some of the people that are here, the opportunity to be in a small town community where people connections are important, and taking care of each other is important, and some of the things that the reasons I got into coaching are more apparent now to help young people navigate through university experience and prepare them for the lessons of life. And I'm done with the politics of higher levels of football. I think the transfer portal is eating away at the integrity of the game. It wasn't going really the direction I want. That doesn't really appeal to me. Coming to a place where I'm not having to be so political, or I can be more of a coach and having a few years away from the game to sit back and reflect. If I ever had a chance to do it again, what would I do? And this has given me that opportunity. So I feel blessed to be here, to work under some great leadership among some of the finest people I've ever had a chance to meet that support the student athlete.
Might have lost Jerome Sowers, but we will effort him again. We'll get him right back. Here is the ESPN Roundtable presented by Paradise Falls of Missoula. Paradise Falls is a great place for a family hangout or to watch some games, or how about both? You can watch whatever game you possibly want, from preps all the way through the NFL playoffs. Paradise Falls has 30 big screen TVs. They also have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, so you can go hit it up and watch games at any time. Paradise Falls also has 18 draft beers, and they have an early and a late happy hour as well for those night owls out there. So Paradise Falls is a great place to hang out with your friends, your family, and everybody in between. Paradise Falls is located at 3621 Brook Street in Missoula. Paradise Falls, Missoula's coolest hotspot and proud presenter of the ESPN Roundtable each Wednesday during the 5 o'clock hour here on Nuanez Now, as well as each Thursday during the noon hour on ESPN Radio. Jerome Sowers, longtime football coach in the Big Sky Conference. He spent 1985 to 1997 as a defensive assistant at University of Montana, including spending time as the defensive coordinator for Montana's run to the FCS playoffs, or Division I AA, I should say, back in 1989. And then, of course, as the defensive coordinator here in Missoula for the Grizz run to the 95 national title as well. Then spent 21 years as the head coach at Northern Arizona. And he is now the new head coach for the Montana State Northern Lights. Coach, sounds like we got you back. We're going to circle back around to some of the here and now and the opportunity here that you have in the Frontier Conference. But I want to talk about the past a little bit, because as you were just saying, this is sort of a full circle for you here returning to the state of Montana. But take us back to when you first came to the state of Montana. You grew up in Oregon, and I know you started getting familiar with Coach Reed out there in the early 80s in the Portland area, and then you come here to Missoula and spend a decade plus here coaching at Montana. So just take us through it. I mean, what do you remember about when you first arrived in Montana? What was that ride like when you were coaching for the Grizzlies for all that time?
I was a much younger man, and I tell you, it was absolutely hilarious. It was so much fun. And Coach Reed, had the vision to try to capture the state, and so we made one of our first things we did was take a tour of the state, and starting in Butte, working our way counterclockwise around the state we had just about every spot you possibly could. And I remember, going through Havre and meeting the likes of Walt Curry and Mike Tillman and, all the wonderful people that were here, and their legacy still exists. So, I have great memories of meeting a lot of people throughout every corner of the state, and those people have been loyal over the years, and it's been a relationship that's never ended. So it's one of those things that I feel honored to be a part of this community, to be their football coach and to represent them. And we plan to do something very special here, and it's going to be it's going to be a collaborative effort by everybody in the community and all of our alumni and all the students and the faculty. But we're excited about the challenge. And I think we were looking at it today. It's, those early years will really set the stage for what has been, a great lesson for me and about relationship building. Coach Don Reed is a great relationship builder. And I had a chance to work with, Bill Smith and Tommy Lee and Bob Beers and Robin Pflugrad and a lot of great coaches that were able to help me, learn to be a better college football coach. And I fell in love with the fans and the people in the Missoula community, and not just Missoula, but the greater part of the state of Montana. So it was overwhelming at first because it was, I had not experienced anything like the culture or the environment. But what a beautiful thing it has become for both universities in the state. And I think everybody wins when football is playing at this high a caliber. And I'm just excited to be a part of the state and to find a niche here where we can be a part of helping young men.
Jerome Sowers joining us here on Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, as well as SWX Montana Television. If you're watching on TV, you see this awesome print of an original painting that I actually had made. This last year, we did a 25-part podcast series commemorating the 25th anniversary of Montana's run to the 95 National Championship. Coach Sowers, of course, the defensive coordinator on that squad. And the painting, Coach, has Coach Reed in it. He also has Dave Dickinson, also has Andy Larson, and it has Mount Sentinel with the M on it. I'll send you a picture after we're off the air, but very cool. But last thing in terms of your time here at Montana from back in the day, it is sort of distinctly interesting to think about now, not only this full circle, but also this was the 25th anniversary of that run to the national title. And I'm sure there's also some parallels now with your new job at Montana State Northern, because I'm sure you're going to build that roster off Montana kids, and the roster in 95 was certainly built on the backs of Montana kids. So what do you remember about that 95 season, and sort of what did that sort of show you about the level of talent that exists then and exists now still in the state of Montana?
Well, I tell you that, the defensive guys that made up the core of our crew, during that year were from Great Falls, from Butte, from Libby, from all over the state, and it was from Helena, and there's such a great representation, and the sense of camaraderie, of connection among that group was exceptional. I mean, you knew they were going to be somebody special, and as long as the coaches didn't get in the way, they were going to be successful. And boy, they made us all look good. Dave Dickinson on offense, and the likes of Blaine McElmurray and the Gokachia brothers, and I go on and name all the guys that were that helped to make that team successful. But I was really fortunate to work with David Reeves and Craig Paulson, and it was just a great time. Some of the greatest memories I have in possession today.
Jerome Sowers here on Nuanez Now. It's our ESPN Roundtable presented by Paradise Falls in Missoula. Jerome, longtime coach for the Grizzlies, longtime coach at Northern Arizona, and now back in as a head coach in the Frontier Conference. The new guy at Montana State Northern up in Havre. So, Coach, let's talk about sort of the future now with your new position, because the Frontier Conference has always been one of the best conferences at the NAIA level, and so much of that is because of sort of the under-recruited and unmined talent that exists in the state of Montana. It sort of trickles downhill, right? A lot of guys go to the two Division I schools, but there's so many guys out there to recruit that you can make into exceptional players at the NAIA level. So what do you think about just sort of the foundation that you have here in Montana to build your roster, and what sort of is your vision for the way that you sort of remake the Northern Lights with your stamp on it?
Well, for starters, an observation in the last 2.5 years, it's when the COVID virus hit, and we started repeating freshman classes, and guys were getting extra years of eligibility, the freshmen kept coming in. Well, what's happened is I'll call the dynamic roster compression, that there's no room for a lot of the guys that would normally either make it on a scholarship or walk on. Those spots just don't exist because not as many student athletes have moved on. So the incoming are still coming, but there's not as much room, and that's at every school. So what young people are finding is that the opportunities today aren't the same as they were 4 years ago. So I think the benefactors of that are the NAIA schools that, a lot of the guys that we might not have had access to, they are available. So, recruiting is a big part of it now. And for us, our plan is we're going to start Havre, and we're going to work, the high line from eastern border to western border. And we're going to try to cover every small town we can. And we're going to have to do it one at a time, hand to hand, eye to eye, and earn their trust and that we are sincere in what we're going to do. And that when we operate with action behind our intent, we'll demonstrate integrity. And so our plan is to win our part of the state over and to make our presence known. If it's in the high schools or coaching clinics or wherever it happens to be, is that we're going to be represented at everything we do, and we're going to be represented well. And so our intent is to continue to work to build over the community, win over all the faculty and students that are here. I really believe that the potential, the sport culture up here and the people that are around here, it's a grassroots community. I mean, there's some good folk here, and I'm absolutely falling in love with it again. And so I know that if we can just prime the pump a little bit and get some guys in here and show that, what our plan is real. We're not up here just to retire. We're up here to build a great football program, and to do it with energy and with intent and some wisdom sprinkled over the top of it. And we're going to do it with Montana guys before we ever leave the state. We'll have to get a few guys from here and there, but the primary focus of our recruiting intent will be in state, particularly in the Highline.
Well, you mentioned that the first thing everybody thinks of when they think of Havre is the cold. But also the first thing I think of when I think of Havre is the sports community. I mean, people in Havre love sports, absolutely love sports. One of our new guys here at ESPN Missoula, Jeff Safford, he worked up there on the Highline for a couple years covering high school sports, and he just couldn't believe how big time it was. He's from California, and he just loved it, just the enthusiasm that exists for all things sports up there on the Highline. So how do you capitalize on that from your role now, Coach Sowers?
Well, they're intelligent sports fans, and you don't want to mess around with these people because they know what when they see they're going to see. I'm more about we're going to show action, we're going to demonstrate, and then when they see that this stuff is for real, I know that they're going to buy into it, and they're going to say, yeah, that's it, that's what we need, and I believe that identified the strengths and weaknesses of this campus, and there's many strengths and whatever. Soft spots we need to build up. They're really in the relationships of a lot of the local high schools, along the High Line and down into Great Falls and throughout the remainder, the western part of the state. And as far as we can stretch out, we will. But there's so much state in Montana, and there are so many student athletes that I really believe get left behind. And we're after the high character kid. We're after the hard worker, the guy that's not afraid of the weight room. He's not afraid of the weather. He just loves the game and loves to be a part of something great. So we have a character that we're looking for, a profile of a young man, and I know they're out there, and they're still out there. And with what time I have left before signing date, we're going to go take a shot at, and then we're going to be continuing recruiting until we satisfy our quota. But we have lots of space, lots of room, and we want all willing individuals that are excited about being a part of something at the ground level. You're going to find an open door here.
Jerome Sowers, new head coach for the Montana State Northern Lights, and a long-time coach throughout the state of Montana, throughout the Big Sky Conference. Coach, so great catching up with you. Thanks so much for being with us. And it won't be so long this time around, the next time we talk to you, but thanks for being here today.
Walter, I really appreciate it. It's good to hear from you, my friend.
One of the best, Jerome Sowers. Love that guy. He's just so awesome to talk to. And as you heard, I mean, he's got such an eloquent and decided vision for what he wants to do up there. And such an interesting time up there, I should say down there at Northern Arizona. And, lasting 21 years at a spot in itself brings so many different dynamics to the table. But it was always a great pleasure to get to know him on a professional level and learn football from him. And glad to have him back. So I know he's a guy that is very well liked. I should say beloved here in the city of Missoula. Certainly a guy that has a sterling reputation and a sterling persona here in the city of Missoula and around the state of Montana for University of Montana fans for sure. So good to have him back. It'll be interesting to follow, see what sort of splash Jerome Sowers can make up there at Montana State Northern in Havre. That's our ESPN Roundtable presented by Paradise Falls of Missoula. Paradise Falls, they have a Sportsbet Montana kiosk. Great place to lay down some bets and then enjoy some games. I had a fun time for the NFL playoffs last weekend, and it's a good spot to go. You can go lay your bets and then eat some good food, drink some good drink. Can't think of anything better. Paradise Falls, 3621 Brook Street in Missoula, proud sponsor of the ESPN Roundtable. Duncan Hamilton did it again. He just keeps on opening my eyes. What an athlete. Montana State famed distance runner joins us next here on Nuanez Now for our River City Runners. Keep it right here. Buying or selling a home can be an intimidating task. Brent Wahlberg and the Wahlberg team of Windermere Real Estate are here to make you feel comfortable no matter where you're at in the process. The official realtors of Grizzly Athletics have more than 4 decades of experience in Western Montana. Brent and his team can not only find you your perfect home or buyer, but they can also teach you about the great city of Missoula and its tradition-laden sports teams. The Wahlberg team works as a family to help fulfill your real estate needs all over Western Montana. If you need help with residential, land, investment, or commercial, give Brent Wahlberg and the Wahlberg team a call today.
Florence Coffee Chai satisfies just right when the winter months come to Montana. Black tea with spices, steamed milk, and a touch of sweet combine into a soothing, full-bodied blend. Whether it's spiced, vanilla, chocolate, apple, or even no sugar-added vanilla, we have a chai waiting for you at any Florence Coffee location. And be sure to visit us at florencecoffeeco.com.
The best flavor under the big sky. Florence Coffee Company.
Where can you find first-hand football analysis from a man who shared locker rooms with NFL Hall of Famers? How about every Monday on Nuanez Now? Former Montana quarterback Marty Mornhinweg has spent over 2 decades as a coach in the NFL, competing with and against some of the greatest players the game has ever seen. Now Coach Marty shares his wisdom and stories with you on the Monday Afternoon Quarterback, every week in the second hour of Monday's Nuanez Now, 5 p.m. only on ESPN 102.9 Missoula. Brought to you by Alpine Touch.
Now out on the field, it can get a little cold. I remember there was a playoff game and we were in 4 minutes. That means we were ahead in that particular instance by 2 scores. And we threw a sprint out on 3rd down. And Brett didn't throw it. It was wide open. Brett Favre didn't throw it. Right at the end of the game, and he ran it and slid and kept the clock rolling, which was fine. But he comes over to the sideline and I go, why didn't you throw that? He said, Marty, my hand is frozen.
If you've never had a Wappa sandwich from Warden's Market, well, you ain't living. The Wappa and all the other sandwiches available at Missoula's oldest grocery store have a legend that precedes them. Warden's Market also features an exceptional selection of craft and specialty beers. At Nuanez Now, we will be giving away a 6-pack and a sandwich from Warden's Market each Thursday during the 4 o'clock hour. Be sure to tune in to Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Missoula, Thursdays during the 4 o'clock hour for your chance to win a 6-pack and a sandwich from Warden's Market, Missoula's oldest grocery store.
My mother was always very active and independent, and she was familiar with her neighborhood. But one day, she stopped at the stop sign for much longer than usual. She wasn't even really sure where she was at.
It's important for you to talk to someone about it. I felt so much better after my son told me, Mom, we'll figure it out.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Shockwaves emerged from the mining city on Monday with 2 huge decisions at the annual Montana High School Association meetings. Hello, I am Colter Nuanez. Among a myriad of decisions, the MHSA voted to add shot clocks to all classifications of varsity and sub-varsity basketball across the state for prep hoops, and the MHSA also announced the addition of baseball as a sport. Representatives from the high schools all across Montana met in person at the Copper King Hotel in Butte to discuss and vote on a number of issues, but the 2 proposals that drew the most attention for certainly baseball and shot clock. Since neither was an MHSA bylaw, both proposals required a simple majority and each passed in overwhelming fashion on Monday. Shot clocks and baseball are both planned to begin during the 2022-2023 academic school year. In Big Sky Conference hoops, a slew of makeup games played out on Monday across the league. In Bozeman, the Montana State women posted a 79-69 win over Idaho after taking 16 days off because of COVID protocols. In her first game since January 1st, Darian White scored 21 points and dished out 4 assists as MSU moved to 3-2 in league play. In the other Big Sky women's game Monday, Eastern Washington drilled Portland State 68-44. On the men's side, Northern Arizona emerged with a wild 74-72 win over Idaho in Flagstaff. Weber State drilled Idaho State 78-61, and Southern Utah ripped Portland State 86-76. This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is brought to you by Selway Armory. What up, Montana? Welcome back. A little boss for you, a little Bruce Springsteen on a Wednesday. Hope you're having an outstanding day and an outstanding week. I'm Colter Nuanez coming to you from the Northwest Motorsports Studio. It's so weird watching yourself on TV, because now at this point I'm on TV every day, every weekday, that is. Thanks to SWX for that. And I go in and record stuff for SWX Tonight on Tuesdays. When we're doing that, they're recording it and then they play it. So that's different than watching yourself in real time on TV. So if you're wondering what I was doing, I was seeing if I could see the sports cards that I was trying to show you. You can kind of see, but I'll just, use the vocal descriptions because it is time for our River City Runners, the renewal of River City Runners. Did this throughout the fall and into the early winter. And then in December, we were gone for a couple weeks. But now, back at it, bringing this back around, a very fun segment of ours. We don't just highlight runners from here in the city of Missoula, although there are a great many of those, and those are sort of our easiest access point, but also from all the way around the great state of Montana. In just a few minutes, we'll hear from one of those outstanding runners, Duncan Hamilton. He's a junior at Montana State, and he's joined us a couple times. This is his second appearance on River City Runners, but also it is probably his fourth or fifth appearance on Nuanez now because he had a banner 2021. It all started with outstanding performances during the indoor track season that led to a couple Big Sky championships, but then just took off. The guy was a machine during the Big Sky Conference outdoor meet. He was one of the top scorers there at the championship, qualified for nationals in the 3,000-meter steeplechase, then went on to get first-team All-American honors with his outstanding race in Eugene. Then he came back around and was in Eugene again, this time for the precipice, the place that almost every track and field athlete wants to get to, the United States Track and Field Trials at Eugene from Hayward Field. All of it is sort of just the mecca for track athletes. And Duncan Hamilton was there and then had an outstanding cross-country season as well. But he's in the news again because he just keeps on keeping on, keeps on thriving on a national level. He ran a altitude-adjusted 3-minute, 56-second and change mile over the weekend in Bozeman. That, at the time of his finish, the number one time in the United States of America by a collegian. And by the time the weekend was over, there was a couple guys that went out and went low. But he's still number 3 in the NCAA. He's number 3 in the United States of America this year. So very cool for Duncan Hamilton. River City Runners is proudly presented by Zootown Sports Cards, and that's why I'm sitting here playing with some of the cards that I've acquired over the last many weeks. One of my favorite things to do down there is to get some packs and have the rush of the rip. But also I like to thumb through some of the specialty inserts you got as well. I've been having a great time sharing this stuff with my nephews. They just love sports cards. And I got them both hooked up with some Giannis Antetokounmpo and Luka Doncic cards for Christmas. Super cool. And I know you can't really see on the camera here, but I got a couple cool ones here. You probably just heard our awesome promo from Coach Marty Morningweg, talking about Brett Favre, telling stories from the mid-'90s when Marty was the quarterback's coach in Green Bay and Brett Favre was the Green Bay Packers starting quarterback. I got this cool old-school SPX Brett Favre down there at Zootown Sports Cards a couple months ago. I also got this sweet Allen Iverson throwback from the early days in Philly. This looks like even pre-cornrows AI. So that was pretty cool. And also got this awesome game-worn jersey, Karl Malone. The other thing they got down there that's super fun, they have these memorabilia helmet packs, and it just comes with one mini helmet, and you don't know which player you're going to get, but it has a signature from one of the players on there. I bought this for my brother for Christmas, and what a cool gift. You could get Cam Akers or Tom Brady or everybody in between in terms of contemporary NFL players, but they also had about 5 legendary players, 5 Hall of Famers from way back in the day. My brother, the helmet he opened, had Ted Hendricks, the legendary and infamous Stork, one of the tallest players in the early modern era of the NFL, a guy that was 6'7" way back in the 1970s, an 8-time All-Pro, one of the most ferocious defensive linemen ever, and super cool, because we then pulled up the NFL top 100 players of all time and the little montage the NFL Films did over Ted Hendricks. And my brother was loving it, but also his kids were totally enthralled by it. So very fun. That's all to say that Zootown Sports Cards is an awesome place here in town. They're located right there across the street from Dornblazer Field on the corner of Higgins and South. And they have a card show coming up as well. So we'll get more details for you. We're a couple months out from that. I think it's going to be in early April. But they're great about hosting these card shows where collectors and vendors can come together and you can go peruse a whole bunch of really sweet sports memorabilia. So we'll get you more details on that coming up soon. But I appreciate Zootown Sports Cards for always being a part of what we do here at Nuanez Now, particularly now sponsoring our River City Runners. Well, I know it's the middle of January and it's cold outside. It doesn't seem much like running weather, but for the tireless runners in our communities, it certainly is, especially when it comes to collegiate track and field. Indoor track season off to a great start, so we will reinstitute for the 2022 year our River City Runners, highlighting some of the best runners, not only from Missoula, but from around the state of Montana as well. River City Runners, just a catchy name that we came up with, but we will be highlighting some of the best distance runners and just runners in general from across the state of Montana. And this is our first repeat guest here on Nuanez Now when it comes to this segment. He's Duncan Hamilton. He's a runner at Montana State and now the reigning Big Sky Conference Indoor Track and Field Athlete of the Week. Duncan, thanks so much for joining us. How you doing?
Doing very well. Thank you for having me.
First of all, let's talk just about sort of the arc of this last year, because I know that we had you on in the fall when you had come off what was such a busy spring and summer with a trip to nationals and a trip to the Olympic trials and then a great cross-country season as well. What's been going on between then and now, and what sort of things have you worked on during the, I guess, quote-unquote off-season? I know you guys don't really have off-seasons. You just have sort of training blocks, but what's it taking? What have you been working on, and what's been growing for you here these last couple months?
Well, after cross-country season, definitely took some needed time off. I kind of realized how much stress I'd kind of put it into my body and all the miles and stuff that had just built up throughout the month. So took a needed break from running, and then kind of just started building mileage slowly. So kind of in just base training mode where I'm just kind of running easy miles and just starting up with some good indoor track workouts right now.
Well, just easy workouts and block workouts, and then this last weekend, you go out and you smash a sub-4-minute mile when it comes to the altitude adjustments. So did you expect that, and what went into that? I mean, that was the time you finished the race. Your 3:56.89 adjusted was the fastest time in the United States so far this year, and still ranks third right now in Division I track and field. So did you expect it? Did you know you could go so low early on in the season here?
I definitely wasn't expecting that. I mean, I knew I was fit. I knew just how much fitness carries over from a cross-country season, and so I knew I had still a strong aerobic base, even if I hadn't done much this training block. But kind of a similar thing had happened at the beginning of the summer where I raced a mile on pretty little training, and I ran a 4:06 in Billings. So I'm kind of realizing that, like, low fours outright is kind of just, like, base training level, and then from here it's all uphill from here. So
when you do have a breakthrough like that, how do you continue to chase a peak? Because I mean, obviously that's a great time, but you want to be peaking towards the end of the indoor season as well. So how do you sort of manage those things? The fact you did have such a good breakthrough, but also maybe maintaining and upping the level that you maybe can attain.
Yeah, I mean, definitely I have seen kind of new levels of fitness pretty much every season for the last year or two. And so I think I'm just realizing that my ceiling for potential is pretty high. And so I think the more race-specific workouts we start doing, we still have a lot of time, and so we've got a lot of work to get done. So I think we will see nothing but improvement for the next couple months, which is super exciting for me.
River City Runners highlighting some of the best runners from across the state of Montana. We're joined now by Duncan Hamilton of Montana State, an outstanding performer who's joined us several times here on this show, including twice on this specific segment. He's in the midst of the indoor track season for Montana State and around the Big Sky Conference, and last week ran a sub-4-minute mile that earned him Big Sky Conference Track Athlete of the Week honors. Duncan, for you, from your perspective, I know that there's a variety of different events that have different nuances to them when it comes to the difference between indoor and outdoor. We're talking about distance running, too. There's sort of different nuances when it comes to indoor, outdoor, and cross-country as well. Just take people through it. In your mind, what are some of the differences, and what's different about indoor compared to maybe what you've been doing the last several months leading into this season?
I'd say the biggest difference between this last fall was cross country training. So I was training for 10Ks, and we did a lot more mileage and a lot more volume and a lot longer workouts. Versus now for track season, mileage isn't quite as important. Still putting in a lot of miles, but not as worried about logging 100-mile weeks or anything. But the workouts are definitely way different. Instead of maybe 8-10 mile tempo runs, it's mile repeats and shorter, faster stuff to get used to running that speed. Because now my race is only 1 or 2 miles. And yeah, I raced a mile this last weekend, but this next Friday I've got a 3K that I'm getting super excited for. We should have a pacer, and my teammate and I, Ben Perrin. I'm super excited to race a fun 3K with him this Friday.
That's right. This Friday in Bozeman, the Bobcat Performance Meet. They're at Worthington Arena, and that should be a fun one. Ben Perrin, a Flathead product, another in-state guy who's really performing well. On that element, Duncan, I know that there's so much pride from Montana people for Montana athletes, and there's so much pride for people from Montana that compete at the highest level of Division I athletics for the Bobcats and the Grizzlies. Do you guys share that when it comes to distance running? Because it seems like there's a lot of really good guys that come out of the state of Montana.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, most of my teammates been racing for years now. I mean, all through high school, I was racing Ben and Levi and Cooper and all these guys. All my teammates. It's just super cool. Like, our camaraderie is, I feel like, a lot better since we've known each other for longer. And it's been so cool to watch everybody step up and improve. And I'm so excited to see Ben kind of have a little breakthrough. He ran a 4:01 converted last Friday, and he's feeling super good for this Friday. So I'm super excited to see that out of him.
Well, very cool. Distance running in the Big Sky Conference and at Montana State continues to thrive. And Duncan Hamilton, our guest here on Nuanez Now, he continues to lead the way. Again, an indoor meet in Bozeman this Friday, the Bobcat Performance Meet, and we're already closing in on it. We're only just about a month away from the Big Sky Indoor Championships, which will also take place in Bozeman. So we'll get you out here on this then, Duncan. Between now and then, what are some of your goals, and what do you think of just the prospect of the fact that this year indoors, they're on your home track?
Yeah, I'm definitely super excited to have conference on the home track, hoping to come away with a couple conference titles. But I think more importantly, I'm looking to run a couple of national qualifying times here in Bozeman, and then I really just want to be able to show up at the national meet. And we're going to Spokane for one bigger invitational as well. And so I'm just really excited to kind of prove myself as one of the top in the NCAA this year.
Well, it should be fun to watch, and we will certainly have you back on around conference time for both indoor and then coming into outdoor season as well. But thanks so much for joining us. Duncan Hamilton, a Bozeman native who runs at Montana State, the now reigning Big Sky Conference Track Athlete of the Week this week. Best of luck this weekend, man, and we'll be catching up with you soon. But thanks for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, the best in the state, any sport. Duncan Hamilton, Montana State University, distance running aficionado. It's Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, as well as SWX Montana Television. Our River City Runners presented bi-monthly by Zootown Sports Cards. Go check out Zootown Sports Cards down there at the corner of Higgins and South, right across the street from Dornblazer Field. Great place for all ages. I feel like a kid when I go down there, but it's also a fun place to take kids. I always see kids when I'm in there, too. Makes me so happy that the hobby of collecting is alive and well and strong, especially amongst our young people. But a great place to swing on by. They have all sorts of fun stuff you can look at, all sorts of fun stuff you can buy. They got price ranges for beginning collectors all the way up to expert collectors, all the way up to people that want to spend some serious money. They got all sorts of cool stuff in there, so go check out Zootown Sports Cards, proud presenter of River City Runners here on ESPN Radio. What's going on the rest of the week? We'll get you all set up and remind you about all the hot wings we're going to give you coming up next month. Keep it right here, ESPN Radio.
Hi there, it's Les Schwab Tires, introducing the new Backcountry AT2 for a quieter ride with improved performance in wet conditions. Because when it comes to keeping your family safe on the road this winter, the right tires help you feel prepared for anything.
Mom, hey Mom.
Well, almost anything. Plus, save up to $130 when you buy Quatrac tires with financing. Les Schwab Tires. Limited time offer. Terms and conditions apply. See leschwab.com/sale for details.
Part of the glory of building a business comes from leaving a legacy to ensure your business continues thriving into the future. Have you asked yourself lately, what is your plan? Forming a personalized business succession plan is essential to know the passion you put into your business will carry on. Nick Tabor at Westpac Wealth is here to help you navigate all your business succession and retirement planning needs. Give Nick a call at 728-6699 and keep the spirit of possibility vibrant while making your future more tax efficient with a personalized business succession and retirement plan for you.
Is 2022 the year you're finally ready to step up your hair game? If you're not sure where to go, look no farther than Compass Barbershop, a modern barbershop for everyone, where they can help you find a style that's right for you. Offering precision scissor cuts and fades in a unique and inclusive atmosphere, Compass Barbershop has it all, including convenient online booking at compassbarber.com. Step up your hair game in 2022. Find your way to Compass Barbershop, downtown on the Hip Strip, at the corner of modern and retro.
Papa, what happened to the TV?
Cable prices went through the roof. I had to dump the cable.
All you had to do was call Eagle Satellite at 406-728-9999 and get Dish TV for $57.99 and internet for $50.
Okay, I will. 406-728-9999. Can I get Dish TV for $57.99 and internet for $50? And it's installed free? Fantastic.
Call Eagle Satellite, 728-9999.
Offer expires 4/13/22. Internet not a Dish product. Price does not include locals. Antenna optional.
Automated Living has a passion for all kinds of audio and video solutions. We pride ourselves on staying educated on the best technologies out there to make your experience absolutely amazing. We customize every build after listening to our clients' dream for how their system should look and sound in their space. We make those kind of dreams come true. If you haven't seen an OLED television, come to our shop and see the difference for yourself. Want sound on the deck or around the house that you can control with your phone? Give us a call and we'll figure out how to professionally make that happen. Automated Living, life made easy.
This is Mike Nugent with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. Berkshire Hathaway provides Western Montana with full-time real estate professionals for you whenever you need us. Our reputation as the state's most knowledgeable and available real estate group has helped build unmatched trust in the Garden City and statewide. If you have been thinking of making a real estate move in the short or long term, give me a call. No pressure, no expectations. Just professional opinions and service at whatever pace you are comfortable with. Give me, Mike Nugent, a call today, 531-1802. And remember, every question is good to ask.
1, 2, 3. Nuanez is now on ESPN Radio.
What you know about rolling down in the deep? When your brain goes numb, you can call that mental freeze. When these people talk too much, put that in slow motion. Yeah, I feel like an astronaut in the ocean. Ay, what you know about rolling down in the deep? When you
Who requested this? You gotta love it. Our main guy, Andrew Houghton, producer here at ESPN Radio, he said, I gotta switch up the playlist a little bit. We got a request, but he didn't tell me who requested it, so maybe he'll let us know. Welcome back. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, as well as SWX Montana Television. I'm Colter Nuanez, coming to you from the Northwest Motorsport Studio. Find amazing winter savings at Northwest Motorsport. You can visit nwmsrocks.com for the largest selection of lifted trucks, diesel trucks, and off-road capable SUVs. Take back control of the road with a new rig from Northwest Motorsport. Missed anything in the show? Great show for you. Sean Rainey from SWX Montana swung by. We also heard from Robbie Beasley, University of Montana sophomore combo guard. Tucker Sargent talking all things Grizz hockey. We also heard from new Montana State Northern head football coach Jerome Sowers, a guy who spent a lot of time in the Big Sky Conference, both as a defensive coach at Montana, as well as the head coach in Northern Arizona for 21 years. He's back in the Treasure State and up in Havre, leading the Northern Lights. We also heard from Duncan Hamilton, a outstanding distance runner, the Big Sky Conference Track Athlete of the Week from Montana State. He ran a sub 4-minute mile, 3:56 and change to be exact. Over the weekend, the third best time in all of NCAA track and field. You can find all of that on the Nuanez Now podcast, proudly presented by Blackfoot Communications as well as Sportsbet Montana. Time now for the final word, presented by Eagle Satellite. Eagle Satellite wants to thank all current and former healthcare workers. They appreciate all you've done and continue to do. If you call 406-728-9999, ask about their TV and internet packages. You can get TV starting at $57.99 a month and internet starting at $50 a month. Call Eagle Satellite, 728-9999 today. Who requested it? He doesn't want to tell me. Gotta love it. What's up for the rest of the week? Well, we're in the middle of the week, which means we're on the downturn of the week, not in terms of content, just in terms of getting you closer to your weekend. Crystal Redpath will be back with us tomorrow around the Big Sky and Women's Hoops for the first hour of the show. Also going to talk some NFL playoffs with Brooks Nuanez, and we have a couple student athletes of the week. Darby Hannon, a senior from Bozeman High School, and Forrest Swaro, a senior at Helena High School, two of our latest student of the weeks. We will share those with you as well. I'm looking forward to this round of the NFL playoffs. It's going to be some dynamite matchups. I think that you have 4 home teams that are all heavyweights, juggernauts. But you also have 4 road teams that you could talk yourself into all of them winning. I'm not saying all 4 road dogs are going to win. That's actually, in fact, almost impossible that that's going to happen. But you look at the matchups, and the Chiefs are this immovable object. Yet, the Buffalo Bills are one of the hottest teams in the NFL, and that's a good matchup. Both sides, that's going to be a heck of a game. Tennessee Titans are the number 1 seed in the AFC. Yet the Cincinnati Bengals, when they're hot, they can beat anybody. They drilled a couple teams this year and really sort of announced their presence as a true contender in the league. The Green Bay Packers, they're the only NFL team ever to win 13 games 3 years in a row. Lambeau Field, one of the great venues in the playoffs. Yet there's a scenario you could talk yourself into, the San Francisco 49ers going into Lambeau and winning. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's certainly not out of the cards. And then you got the defending Super Bowl champions playing at home in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which was a foreign concept last year. They won all their playoff games on the road, but they're at home right now. But they got one of the most talented teams in the league coming to town in the Los Angeles Rams, also a team that's been exceptionally hot down the stretch. So there's going to be some showdowns and some good games on both Saturday and Sunday in the NFL playoffs. We'll talk more about that with Brooks Nuanez in hour number 2. We'll also get things kicked off with Krista Redpath, our Big Sky Conference basketball insider around the Big Sky and Women's Hoops. Tomorrow we'll see you at 4 o'clock. In the meantime, have yourself a wonderful evening and be good. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio. Jake Dubeck knows people, and because of his gift of getting to know